Welcome back to another episode of DIJAH's Cafe, where we keep it real, relevant, and rooted in purpose. Good evening and hello, and welcome to DIJAH's Cafe. Welcome back to another episode where we keep it real, relevant, and rooted in purpose. I am your host, Khadijah Stewart, and tonight, oh my goodness, conversation is about restoration, not just rescue. We are discussing what it truly takes to support women navigating homelessness, recovery, incarceration, transitions, abuse, and economic hardship, and how structure, accountability, faith, and reflection play a role in rebuilding identity and family stability. Joining me this evening, family, I had to take a pause. I have known this sister since I want to say 7 years old. She,
Probably.
I
Mhm.
have to, I can't start off introducing her any other way because she's family. She's the big sister of one of my best friends that I've known and had since a childhood. And I'm so honored to have her tonight so that we can talk to you guys. That's one bit of why I have her tonight. The other reason I have her tonight is because she is the CEO of Smart. Woo, you're going to learn a little bit about Smart tonight. She's also the author of The Pen of Believing Women, a guided journey through healing, prayer, and divine connection. Rabia Ahmed, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me. I've got so much notes here that I'm going to take. I have questions I want to ask, but I
Okay.
want to first get into, and I have your bio. I would read it, but I don't think I can do it as much justice as you can. I want you to tell me a little bit about when Smart started, why Smart started, and what it has become today.
When Smart started around 1986.
Mm,
I was telling one of my companions that I wanted to start helping women, and she said, "I have a name," and she just blurted out the name, and I said, "That's it, that's it." And ever since then, I was doing little things throughout the years. um, Feeding people, going to the food bank, feeding them, helping them, giving them rides to the doctors, and just things like that. That might be small to somebody else, but it was big to them.
mhm,
And that's when it started. Uh, how it started, and where it is going. Um, Around in 2006 or 2007. Uh, I was working at a prison, and the one of the administrators at the prison said, yeah, I was telling her about Smart. She said, "You should start going to meetings, put it out there." And I said, "I don't want nobody to steal my ideas." She said, "Girl, go ahead." And I started going to local meetings at City Hall and start talking about Smart. And then I was able to obtain volunteers.
mm,
We started just doing things in the community, like helping some of the mothers with paying their bills and food
mm.
and
Wow.
shelter and things like that. And it grew. It's just still growing.
Wow. So you really are creating sustainability pathways for women. It's not
Absolutely.
just, okay, let me just help you out a little bit and get you on your way.
Mhm.
You're really putting them on a pathway. Talk to that for me. Talk a little bit about that for me. What that
Well,
looks like for a woman that may have been incarcerated and now she's trying to find her way and she comes to you.
the women that are coming home from being incarcerated, one of the things that they go through is trying to find stability. And
Mm,
that's a really big problem, because a lot of time they come out, they have nowhere to go. So we've been partnering with some other people and have gotten them into motels. And they were able to stay 3 weeks to a month. And in that time, we were trying to get them transitional housing, trying to
Mhm.
get them in school. We had women who graduated from college, um, trying to get them in school, trying to get them work, trying to get them
Okay.
training. We had a program called uh, work relief, where they were able to, they knew that they were coming from prison, and there were some places that did hire them, um, and they were able to have an income, which
Mhm.
was very, very important to them. And even if it was a little McDonald's, or, one of the small, well, not a small franchise, but what some people may look at, oh, but to them it was a big thing,
Right,
you know.
right.
So we
Hmm.
helped them with that, and I really, really enjoyed watching their faces when they were like, "Oh, I got the job! I got the job!"
Mhm. Mhm. I can imagine. So, Rabia, I didn't even get to read the bio, but we we are both native Philadelphians.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
and you have your bachelor's degree in criminal justice because I heard you say that you were working in the prisons.
right.
So, you were working as a guard, or what did you do a little bit in the prison system? Because you
I
kind of,
was.
it sounds like you understand these women.
Oh yeah, I was a counselor, and I was quality assurance in the prison
Wow.
through the drug and alcohol programs.
Okay.
Um, and it was good. I was able to really reach some of the inmates.
Mhm.
Not It was very important, Khadijah, how we approach people. And in Islam, it's important how you treat people, because a lot of the guards was cursing them out, yelling at them, and I came to them at a more compassion, way. So
Mhm.
they appreciate. I remember this one guy, real quick. This one inmate. Um, I was coming on the block, and I was telling the guys to come on down so we could do morning meeting. And I guess he might have been about 35, maybe 35, 30, somewhere. And he came down, he said, "Good morning, good morning." And I said, "Go back upstairs to your cell, wash your face and brush your teeth." You know what he told me? He said, "Nobody ever told me to brush my teeth and wash my face." And I
Ooh.
said, in my heart, I was like, oh. Then I said, "Well, then go do it." And he giggled, and he ran up the steps, and he did it.
Mm.
So we don't know what people go through, whether it's the men or the women. People are going through some things, and I think that we have to show that compassion and show that nurturing side, to help them through, to help them heal.
That's what I hear. I hear that you're all about the healing process. Like
Oh
that
yeah.
that and I'm a little biased because I know from being
Mhm.
sister's friend and being around you, you've always been that way. That's just who you are. But I think for me, the fact that you want to make an impact in a way not to have somebody say thank you, right? But you want to make an impact in a different kind of way. Talk to me a little bit about that, Rabia.
I want to make an impact that people change their thinking. Because
Mm,
see, if you change your thinking, your behavior is going to change. So the impact I want to make is you change their thinking towards healing. Because sometimes they can heal their own self. They know what they want.
mhm,
And I try to pull it out of them. What do you want? What do you want to do? What do you want to be? Where do you want to go? And a
mhm.
lot of times, Khadija, they're answering their own questions.
Wow.
I saw every year we give away about 1,000 brand new coats. Every year there's a company that donates us coats for children. This one year, about 7, 8 years ago, we were invited to a firehouse to give out the free coats.
Mhm.
And There's a lot of people there, a lot of children. Everybody's getting there because we all busy. So I heard somebody say, Miss Ahmed. I said, uh-oh, it's somebody from the prison, you know. And I turned around. He said, Miss Ahmed. And he was just running to me and hugged me. I was like, uh-oh, you know. And he had his wife and his two daughters. And he called them. He said, this is Miss Ahmed. I was telling you about her. Remember, you know, I was his counselor. And he was in tears. And he said, you helped me get out. And
Mm.
you helped me stay out, you know.
Mm.
And that did. So then I started crying. And I introduced him to my father and my husband. They were there.
Mm.
And that kind of thing is good to see, you know, when you're counseling and you're teaching and you giving them tools to heal and they use it. And he was so happy, and he just all that evening he was just in awe, you know. And I
Mm.
said, well, all I did was I was at the parole here and I told him what I saw. You was doing good and you was in compliance, and you know they let you go, you know. And that was good to see. So that's what I look for. I look for the people that when I do talk to them, when I do counsel them, that somebody says, you know what, I'm gonna listen to that lady, you know, but stay out of trouble. I'm gonna build, I'm gonna get
Mm.
married, I'm gonna have children, you know. So that's what I look for.
That's
That kind that's my gratification, you
mm.
know, is to see that, you
Right,
know, just
right.
make me happy,
I love it.
happy.
Oh, I love it. So obviously you like the healing process, so you wrote this awesome book. I'm gonna tell you, I saw this book when you wrote it, and I said, Rabia wrote a book. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, right? But you've always been an impactful person, right? I've always seen you working and doing and giving. Your family's like that, right? So you had no choice, really. But you do it in your way. Then you wrote this book called The Pen of Believing Women. I'm gonna get a little emotional.
I always get emotional. Join the club.
I know. My organization, we help families build sustainability, right? Through
Mm,
education and business. This book, and I don't know if you can see it because of the background, right? But this book, everybody, it talks about women. And I want to say that because when Rabia talks, when she deals with women and she's empowering women, like she said, it's the compassion, right? It's listening, it's understanding where people are and kind of just shutting up and letting them show you, right, where you have to take them. And she wrote a book about some powerful believing women. And it's beautiful because on one side you get the story, a nice story about who these women were not necessarily always what you know about them in history, but what you know about them and how they were as women. And then she gives you a journal beside where you get to look inside yourself and ask yourself, how did you deal in some of these situations? What kind of things are you doing like these women? It was such an empowering book. It is. And like I said, I put on social media, it's kind of like my sit back with, well, now I'm Ramadan now, or I can't drink while I'm doing it, but it's my morning time reflection. I haven't written in a book. I refuse to write in this book because every time I look at another question, like what knowledge do you carry that could benefit others? I come back with a different answer each time.
yeah.
Talk to me about why did you choose to do this book this way?
Is that throughout the years, I have watched women go through a lot of changes, and it was a very dark place for them. And I wanted to show them that there is light,
Mm,
there is hope, there
mhm,
is healing through through listening, through counseling, through reflection, through prayer. You know that a lot of these women, as you know, Khadijah, sometimes they get stuck right there in that darkness. and all they could do is they might get the children up to go to school. They might cook dinner for them and things like that, but they don't go outside. They stay stuck right there,
Mm,
and they don't see a way when there is a way. So I try to show them, even through my counseling, what I try to do is have them write stuff down because you can
mm,
see it better. Don't get stuck in that hole of that what they call stinking thinking.
mhm,
Is
mhm,
because if you don't have no outlet of what you want to do, what your thinking takes control,
mhm,
then the
mhm,
family dynamics change
mm.
because you're not able to teach the children, you're not able to help yourself because you don't know how to. We got to take them by the hand sometimes, so we have to talk to them and without any judgment. I've
Hmm.
heard stories. I'm sure you have. I've heard stories, but I'm not judging nobody. You
Thank
did
you.
what you had to do, and you're moving on.
Mhm,
You're moving on. One of the what I say with smart with the believing women is whatever your past has been, your future is spotless. So
mm.
what you
Wow.
did, what you did 20 years ago, tomorrow you could start all over. You could start all over in 1 hour. And that is clear. That's a clean slate.
Mhm,
So they have to learn how to separate and not just dwell on uh, 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 what I did. I want to give them that reassurance, and a lot of it is through talking to them and them writing stuff down. I
mhm,
found it helped me. And I found since I've been practicing that tool, a lot of
mhm.
people are like, you know what? By writing it down and going back to it, it puts a different spin on it
Every time. No,
every
that's
time.
true. I teach my business clients that, right?
Mm.
Write it down. A thought comes to you. I tell them to get the old school composition book from the dollar store. Just write it down. You're
Write
right.
it down.
It makes a difference. Makes
It
a
makes a
big.
big difference. It makes a big difference. Makes a big difference.
I love that concept that tomorrow's clean. Like,
Tomorrow's
how did you put it though? No, you said it.
no matter where your past has been, your future is spotless.
Your future is spotless. That's the part I love. Right? Because that just gives it a. It's nothing there. It's a clean slate. Keep going.
Nothing.
Keep going. I love it. So all of this, obviously, your faith, Islam, our faith has played a huge role. I'm sure, right? And getting you to the point of being able to do what you do every day, right? And pull these women in. So let's talk about divine connection versus desperation phase. Because this book makes you look at yourself, right? And I even tell my clients, look in the mirror. Because if you look at yourself in the eyes in the mirror, you can't lie to yourself. That you can't,
Absolutely.
right? So some people try to run to faith, right? And this is going to solve my problem, and this is going to, right? What talk to me about that a little bit? Those two concepts of divine connection versus desperation faith.
That divine connection is going to cut off the desperation because when you have that connection with the law, with God, and you put your faith and your trust in, and that's where
Hmm.
we have issues at is that faith part. I don't know if I should do it. I don't know if I should, but but when you have faith and trust in your creator, he makes it work. That's what he talks about. You already know. We talk. Allah talks about having faith and trust in Him. So when, oh, I got fired from my job. Oh, my husband left me. I have seen a lot of women, once their husbands divorce or they divorce them, they separate and they go into despair. And you know what they start doing? They start going to clubs. They wanted somebody to love them. They want to feel loved. And so they start dressing different and, doing things. And without any judgment, if you could just go the other way, you will find peace. You're not going to find any because you don't know these people. So you're not going to find no peace there. But you will find peace with going to Allah because Allah has all the power. We don't have any power.
Mm-mm.
We are powerless. So when you put your faith and your trust in who has the power, that's going to take you a long way.
Mm-hmm.
And slowly but surely that being going through hurt, going through despair, going through trauma and drama, it slows down. It slows down. And if you keep that faith, it's going to work in your favor. A lot of times you can't see it, and I say, just be patient. It's going to come. It's going to
Patient
come.
perseverance. Patient perseverance. Mm.
Patience and perseverance. It's going to come. One of the things that Allah promises us, and we have to stick to His promise. He promises us after every difficulty, you got relief coming.
Mm-hmm.
Relief is on the way.
Most definitely.
Stick to that. I had to stick to that because we all went through our stuff, and I said, okay, I'm just going to be patient because during this difficulty, Allah was going to send some ease because Allah is not a liar, So if He said this is what He's going to do, that's what we have to hold on to. So we hold on to the rope. We have to hold on. It's coming. I promise you, because He promised us,
Mm-hmm.
So, and a lot of time we want stuff right then. We want something to happen right now,
And we're not even ready for it, right? We're not even ready for it.
not
It's
even ready.
interesting. I want to do a little personal reflection, right? Because we've all been through our stuff.
Mm,
Would you admit that patient perseverance may have been one of the toughest lessons to learn through maturity?
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, because I used to be impatient.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be impatient, and the older I got, the older I became, and the more trials that I went through, and the hardships, and the drama, and the trauma, I had no choice.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm reading the Quran, I'm reading the Hadith, I'm reading about Islam, I'm going to classes. I have to practice what is being taught to me, to
Mm-hmm.
practice what I'm reading. So I had no choice. And once I gave up, said, you know what, okay, I can't fight this any longer. I'm just gonna be patient and be happy with the results.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened. It doesn't happen when we think it should happen.
Mm.
Sometime it was over a couple years, but it happened.
Definitely. Yeah, that was my biggest lesson. Once I learned that lesson, I'll be honest, Rabia, life was good.
Yes.
Life, I can honestly say I really had nothing else to worry about in life. We always have things we have to do, but that
Exactly.
worry kind of took a left turn. It just doesn't,
Sure.
it's not there anymore, right? Because
Sure.
you understand who's in charge. And even to my non-Muslim viewers, right? This is for you as well. You all have faith, right? Everybody that's out there that has a faith. Grab a hold of your faith, and I guarantee you, within your faith, there's a patient perseverance lesson. I
Mm-mm.
promise
Mm-mm.
you, there's one there, right? There's got to be.
Mm-mm.
So now we've healed, we've had
Sorry.
our connection, we've grounded ourselves with faith. When a woman has been labeled an addict, felon, or abuse, How does she rewrite that story? Right. So we've healed that, we've done all of that. But before she got there, she had to, or actually no, I don't know, but this is what my thoughts and the clients that I have. They normally are rewriting it once they get like right at that edge of healing. Then the rewriting starts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about that for a woman that's been through some of that, the abuse or addiction or incarceration, right? I know because I've full disclosure, I've told you all before, I've been there, done that, right? But
Right, right,
you're the counselor, so you're sitting at the seat,
right.
right? How does that label, right? How do they deal with that label piece? Because they wear it on their sleeve nine times.
Hmm. My experience, the big part is forgiveness,
Mm,
because a lot of the women that I counsel, they have not forgiven themselves. They hold on to what they did, their lifestyle. They hold on to it. And one of the tools that I use is writing it down. Write down all the good that you did. We
remember.
know about we know about the bad part,
Hmm.
but look at you now. And as you just stated about looking in the mirror, that's one of the things that I have them. One of my exercises that I have them do is look in the mirror and say, "I'm beautiful.
Hmm.
I'm worth it. I'm smart. I'm pretty." You
Hmm.
know, things like that. You know, and I said, do that every morning because, see, Khadijah, I had to do it. Somebody told me, and I did it, and that got me through one of my tough spells. you know, but it worked. And I kept saying every morning, I would say, "You so cute, you beautiful, you
Hmm.
smart, you ambitious, you know." And I would just say that kind of stuff every
Hmm.
morning when it was just natural.
Hmm.
If they don't forgive themselves, because some women been through some serious trauma and some serious drama, but the results of you forgiving yourself, it's gonna start that healing process.
Thank you. Hmm.
Oh, oh yeah, because how you gonna heal
Hmm.
if you haven't forgiven? No, because I did this, Miss Ahmed. You don't know I did that. I said, okay, but that was 5 years ago. That was yesterday, right? Okay, how about today? What do you
Hmm.
want to do now? Where do you see yourself?
Right, right.
And they start opening up
Hmm.
because I'm talking to them. Sometimes that connection of holding their hands, especially my clients who've been through some rough stuff. And I
Hmm.
ask them, "You mind if I hold your hand?" No, no, no. And I hold their hands, and I'm looking right into their eyes, and I'm saying, "You're going to be okay."
Hmm.
I was counseling a man one day, and he went through a lot. And I told him I didn't hold his hands. I looked in his eyes, and I said, "You're going to be okay. Believe me, you're going to be okay." He cried for about 5 minutes.
Wow.
He said, "Nobody never said I was going to be okay. I believe you." I said, "It's true. This is going to pass."
Sometimes people just need that hug, right? That verbal hug.
Yeah,
Literally, just to hear somebody say that is enough to convince you that I can do this. Okay, it's not
absolutely. There
that
you go.
bad.
There
Yeah.
you
Yeah. Loneliness, I tell people that all the time. Loneliness is a horrible place to be after
go.
going through a struggle.
Mm,
Going through a struggle. It's a
mm.
horrible place to be. And I think as a community of people, right? We need to understand that in dealing with each other, even strangers. My kids always tell me, we're out and about, and I'll smile at people and say hi.
Yeah.
Like Why not?
Yeah.
And you don't know what you've done for someone. You
You
don't.
don't know. You
So,
don't know.
Rabia, tell me, is healing emotional or structured?
Emotional.
Okay.
Emo Emotional. Um, because you're dealing with a lot of inner feelings,
Mm-hmm.
where it could become structured, but very emotional because you're dealing with things that you probably didn't even know you had in you. You're
Mm-hmm.
dealing with parts about you that you had no idea. It's like, wow, this is really me. You're learning yourself. You don't know where some of the stuff is even coming from, but
Mm-hmm.
you're learning yourself um through this healing, through the community, through your family, through your friends. Yeah, because not only is it emotional to you, but some of it is emotional to them.
Mm-hmm.
So emotion plays the biggest part,
Yeah.
of this process. Oh yeah.
Mm. And I think the structure part comes from, and I don't know about you, but I get tired of hearing people say, "Oh, I'm going through my healing process," and it's okay if that's what you're doing. But do you agree that sometimes some things can be oversaid and people don't really do the work?
I don't think that sometimes it could be oversaid because sometimes you have to remind yourself.
Mm.
Sometimes you have to repeat it so that it'll
Okay.
get through, So if they're saying it, eventually they're going to slow down. But sometimes, Khadijah, it's just that one word,
Makes a
healing,
difference.
that they hold. It's just like I had a client who was going to the NA meetings. Now, he's been clean like about 30 years, but
Wow.
goes to the meetings faithfully every
Mm.
week. And he said to me one day, he said, I like to hear it. I need to hear it. I hear
Ah,
the same thing all the time, but I need to hear it. So that's what he holds on to. That's what gets him through. That's what gets him through. So, oh yeah, it's never too much. If
okay.
they say I'm going through my healing process, that might be what they really mean. They still going
Mm.
through that healing process. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I guess sometimes for me, I hear healing. I don't want it to be taken lightly. You know what I
Oh,
mean? Because, and
definitely.
there's different phases of it as well, right? It's one of those things where healing doesn't happen overnight. It does not happen overnight. I want folks to realize that they need to allow themselves that time,
Oh
right?
yeah.
That's the point I think I was making. But you're right. I didn't think of it that way. Sometimes you just that verbal, just hearing it. So now how do we move, right? We've healed, we're praying, now we got a plan, right? So because we can pray and we can pray and we can pray. And some of us sometimes we pray, 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 and we think that we don't have anything else to do but pray. But we got to get to the planning process, right? So he'll help you. He's gonna give you everything you need, but you got to do something, right? So how do we go from the prayer to the planning? Because sometimes the prayer feels so good. I don't want to leave that phase of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the
Mm-hmm.
planning makes me now deal with my reality again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do I go from that?
Accountability. You know,
Mm,
that okay, now we're going to plan. We're going to write down a plan. You got to talk about your goals, write down your goals, and be consistent. Consistency is the key also. Because when you're planning, somebody might write down a plan. Oh, okay, and might put it down and go back to it way, way later. But if you write down a plan and you have goals, then you need to set time frames for those goals.
mhm,
Okay, I'm going to uh uh um let's say I'm going to stop smoking. So for 1 week, I'm not going to smoke. So when I come back to you for our next session, or are we talking? Did you make it through that 1 week? I made it that 1 week, Miss Ahmed. I made it through. Okay, so now let's set a goal for 2 weeks,
Okay.
until it becomes a year or 2 years.
Mhm.
And okay, I'm done. I went through 2 years. I think I'm done, but that consistency
Right.
is what makes it work.
Mhm.
Not just dropping dropping the ball or dropping the pen. Okay, I did it for 1 week. I'm good. People say, okay, I'm not gonna eat any sugar.
Mhm.
With that New Year's, they got a New Year's Eve, every New Year's Eve. I'm not gonna eat no sugar. And then
Mhm.
after that third day, I had to have that candy bar.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
you know. So, but the consistency,
Right.
because one time I said, okay, I'm not gonna eat no sugar. I'm not gonna eat any bread for 30 days.
Mhm.
I did it, and I think I lost like 20 something pounds.
Right.
I was going to the gym, me and my husband, my son, we was going to the gym, we were supporting each other. And then on that 30th day, I was like, oh wow, I did it. And then the next, like I think that next week or something was the Eve.
Oh, that's it. That's it. Oh no, 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 no. That was it.
So
Mm-hmm.
back several times. I went back several times, but if we're consistent in what we do, it'll
Mm-hmm.
work. But like I said before, we have to hold them accountable. Okay,
Right.
you gave me a commitment. You said you was going to do this. Now, are you going to be committed to you? It's
Mm.
okay being committed to me because I'm your counselor, I'm your friend, whatever. But are you going to be committed to you?
Right. Right. Just had that conversation with my youngest today. Yes. Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
It starts and it ends with you.
Definitely. So before we close out, I want to ask one question. And
Mm.
oh, this is you and I in Philly. We know that Ramadan has become this awesome trend. We got
Yes.
a lot of young folks that are
Oh,
coming to this
I,
land and
oh,
fasting, and I know it's beautiful. I love it. We
I
got to keep
love
it consistent. That consistent piece, right?
it. Yeah.
Because we
Oh,
all know
yeah.
after Ramadan, because we know Ramadan is this spiritual high for all of us as Muslims. Anytime you start conditioning yourself to concentrate more on your faith during the day hours, and we have to, we're not eating, there's things that we're doing, right? You're going to start some good habits.
Yes.
How do we keep our young folks right in and out of Ramadan and into that next month and continuing, right? You're learning your prayers, you're going to the masjid all the time because we know after Ramadan, the masjids kind of get a little empty,
I know.
right?
Yeah.
What do you talk to them about? Because I love this new generation. These are my folks. I love
Yeah.
them, right? How do we keep them? How do we help them a little bit?
Um, that support.
Mm,
You have to be there for them because a lot of these young, a lot of this young generation, their parents are not Muslim, you
right,
know,
right.
and so it's very heavy. I've seen um some children, some of the teenagers and just that younger generation period, their parents are supportive because it's Ramadan, they're doing good and they looking nice. But then after that, it's like, okay, and a lot of times they go right back to that younger generation goes right back to that not so good way of living. But if
Correct.
because it takes a village, not just to raise a child, but it takes a village for us to become a unit. It's not
Thank
just the children, it's the grandma, it's the mom, it's the sister, it's the
my
neighbor. You know,
people. Hmm.
we have to be consistent with helping them. Who's going to help them? When we were growing up, it was the village. We was at each other's houses. So it's different now. So we might not go to their houses, but sometimes go. I want to go to this class. I want you to go me to this class.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to go with me to Juma.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm just calling, checking on you, sending
Right.
them thinking of you card. And not always the internet. Mail them something. You could go to the dollar store, buy a little trinket, mail it to them. Stuff like that they won't forget.
Right.
They'll remember.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, she really care about me.
Right. Right. I
So
love that.
that's up to us.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Then once we start doing it, I remember tell you the story real quick. When my son was going to high school, and I used to buy juices and sodas by the cases, so that when he came home, he'd take something to school to drink. He came home, he would have something to drink. A lot of times I was at work or whatever. So one day, I went to look in the dining room. I said, I just bought about 3 cases. I'm down to about a half a case. Where are the sodas at? Where are the juices at? And so I asked him, I said, what did you do with all the drinks? He said, well, I gave them out. Some kids ain't had nothing to drink.
Oh.
I took them to school. You gave away what I paid for, right? And he said, Mom, you do it.
Oh. That's all you could do.
He said, you do it. You're always feeding people. You're always doing stuff for people. And they was thirsty. They'd be like, Dad, can you bring me a juice tomorrow? And because I
Mm.
hadn't seen it in a couple of days. And when I went to look, I said, my God.
Yeah, that would have shocked me too.
And so he's still like that. Alhamdulillah, he's still like that. So we have to set the example.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my parents used to call me, go by the store, pick up this, take it to this sister, go take so and so to the doctor, go pick up your aunt, take her here, all kinds of things. So I just thought it was just natural for me to do it. My mother's house was the go-to house. If you need
Mm-hmm.
a Tylenol, if you need a pack of meat, if you needed some sugar, whatever. And I said, why
Mm-hmm.
are you giving people all of our stuff? I didn't know no better at the time. There was a
Mm-hmm.
Cambodian family. A brother called my father. I might have been about 18. My brother called my father and said, I have a Cambodian family. They don't speak English. They just got off the boat. They have nowhere to go. I know you have an empty apartment. Can you put them there? My father said, okay. He went and got them, took them to the apartment. He said, I can't leave them there. He brought them to the house.
Wow.
And it was a mother and 2 sons and a daughter. They didn't speak no English. They they took them that night to, I don't know if you remember the department store Corvettes. They took
Mm.
them to the department store in Cheltenham called Corvettes. They took them to Corvettes, bought them some clothes and some things, and we used to say, how why these and we was we didn't know no better. We was like, why I gotta give up my room? It's like, they got to
Mm-hmm.
sleep downstairs, and because
Mm-hmm.
we didn't know any better. And I watched. They stayed with us for about 3 months.
Wow.
They had no training on how to use the bathroom. So one of my neighbors called and said, you got some people in your yard digging holes going to the bathroom.
Rabia.
Yup. And so we had to teach them to use the toilet. We had to teach them, you know, how
Right.
to use soap, how to remember back in the day when they had those big those electric lines up on the poles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now they
Mm-hmm.
have no files, but they had them lines. You know how kids used to throw their sneakers
The
over the line?
sneakers. Right. Right.
Well,
Right.
one day they had the sneakers on. They said, how did they climb up that
Goodness,
pole?
no, they didn't.
So I watched this coming up. I
Mm.
watched this and I said, I have to, I have to do it. I mean, I have my selfish reasons where I want to win some brownie points with a law, you know,
Lesson stealer.
you know, but it almost feel like it's natural to do.
Right.
So we just do it. My husband is the same way. So we just do it. Somebody calls, oh, I need a ride so and so, 1 o'clock in the morning. Okay, okay, I'm coming. You know,
Mm.
and but it feels that feeling that I get, okay, I don't want to cry.
I know that feeling. I
You
know.
know,
I
you
know.
know, you
We
know,
make
so
the children in our program go out Pennsylvania Avenue, right? We're all in Baltimore. We're all of the fighting and the riots went on and everything. And we have them packed up. We go to the park, we pack the little snack bags, brown paper bag, and then we have them go out and hand them out. And every year, Rabia, what they say when we do it, that felt so good. Can we do it again? Can we do it again?
oh,
Right? You're almost selfish when you
yes,
see the smile on somebody's face.
yes, yes.
It's nothing like it.
It's nothing
Robbie, we
like
could talk all night. You
you know
know,
we can. You
we
know
could
we
talk
can.
all night. But
You
I
know,
thank you so much for agreeing to come to DJ's Cafe.
you're
I want you to
welcome.
drop some information about SMART. Please, where can I find out about the organization? Is there a website, telephone number, social medias? Let's give them to me.
Yes. Smart. The website is www.smart to change the number two smarttochange.org.
Okay,
Um, that's the website. If anybody want to make a donation, they can make a donation through the website.
very
We're
good.
also on Facebook.
Okay.
Single mothers are really trying. So
Mm,
if you type that in, it'll come up, and then you can see some of the things that we have done throughout the years. Um, and the book,
mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can see this. It might
Yes,
be
very clear. Your version is much clearer than
coming
mine. Yes.
backwards, but if you want the book, you could order the book off of Amazon, The Pen of Believing Women, or you can order it from me and I can autograph it for you and mail it to you through Zelle with my phone number 484-905-2027, or Cash at the $ Pen of Believing Women.
Awesome.
And we're also on LinkedIn, Smart Inc. Um, Single mothers are really trying. I had to add on there, smart single mothers slash men are really trying, because there's a lot of men out there also now that's raising their children. I have a
Yes, they are.
video, I think it's on Facebook, of a young man that I had met in the supermarket, and he had just won custody or visiting rights of his daughter, and
Mm,
he was doing wonderful. And I was watching. I said, "You're doing a good job," and then he explained to me what was going on. But so we out there
awesome.
just trying to help people, Khadijah.
Thank you for all that you do.
Yeah.
Rabia, you have not changed. You are still that I put on Facebook. I was always low key jealous of Habab. I was like, I wish I had a big sister like her because she was always awesome. But thank you, may Allah bless you, and please continue to do all that you do. Family,
Thank you for
please
thank you.
support and send donations to Smart. As you can see, she's making an impact, right? These are
Yes,
the organizations that fill those gaps when the
yes,
money isn't there, when the federal government isn't paying for things, right? So these are the organizations that need to be supported. So family, please, 10, 15, 20, 100, 500, 1,000, 5,000.
that's right. That's right. It's wonderful.
Okay. And read her book. Get the book. Ladies, I'm
Oh,
sorry, fellas. If you want the book, you can. But I'm going to tell you, for the sisters out there, you don't have to be Muslim. I promise you, you don't. This book
done.
is for any woman who believes in a higher power.
That's
You
right.
will definitely be able to relate to this book. It will empower you. This is women empowerment. This book right here, this is women
Yes,
empowerment.
yes. Thank you.
Rabia,
Thank you.
thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for joining me. I'm so gracious. I'm like overwhelmed.
You're doing wonderful. I love it.
Thank you so much.
Love it.
Family, thank you for joining. And until next time, we will see you. And always remember, develop it just as it happens. Take care. Thank you for joining us for another episode of DIJAH Cafe. See you next time. And remember always, develop it just as it happens.